Evan Hale was only 12 years old when everything in his quiet life changed. He lived on a small human farming colony, far from the center of human space. His family grew wheat and vegetables, and they lived in a simple home near a wide green forest. Most days were calm, ships rarely visited, and nothing exciting ever happened. Evan sometimes wished for adventure, but he never imagined how suddenly his wish would come true. One warm afternoon, Evan walked through the forest with an old wooden basket, collecting small fruits his mother liked to use in cooking. Birds made soft sounds overhead, and the air smelled pleasant after morning rain. He enjoyed these walks because the forest always felt peaceful and alive. But that day, the peaceful silence broke with a loud, sharp boom in the distance. The ground trembled a little under his feet, and a gust of hot wind rushed past him. Evan froze. Startled. It did not sound like thunder or anything natural. It sounded like something falling from the sky. He slowly walked toward the direction of the sound, stepping carefully around bushes and roots. As he got closer, he smelled burned metal and saw a thin trail of smoke rising through the trees. His heart beat faster. His mind raced through wild possibilities. Maybe a small meteorite, maybe a crashed drone. He had seen pictures of both in school, but nothing prepared him for what he found. In a small clearing, half buried in dirt, lay a strange object. It was smooth, silver blue, and shaped like an oval. Sparks danced around it, and the metal still glowed faintly from heat. Evan realized immediately that it was not human. Human escape pods were boxy and heavy. This one looked almost alive, with curved lines that shifted gently like breathing. He felt fear at first, but curiosity pushed him forward. He took slow steps and listened for any signs of danger. The air around the pod smelled sharp, like electricity. As he moved closer, a line of symbols glowed on the surface letters he did not recognize. Then the pod made a soft, weak sound. Something inside moved. Evan's breath caught. He hesitated. He knew that touching unknown alien technology could be risky, but something inside the pod made a small, pained cry. It sounded like a child. Against all logic, Evan leaned forward and placed a hand on the warm surface. The pod reacted instantly. A small hatch unlocked with a hiss, and the door slowly opened, letting out a soft rush of cool air. Inside was a girl. At first, Evan didn't understand what he was seeing. She looked young, maybe close to his age, but clearly not human. Her skin had faint silver markings that glimmered in the light. Her eyes, large and bright, reflected shades of blue and violet. Her hair was soft and pale like moonlight. She wore a thin suit with strange patterns across it. But even if she looked different, she did not look dangerous. She looked frightened. When she noticed Evan, she pressed herself back against the pod wall, trembling. Her eyes moved quickly, trying to understand him. Evan slowly raised both hands to show he meant no harm. He had seen his father do this when calming frightened animals. "It's okay," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." She tilted her head as if trying to understand his tone. She tried to speak but only managed a few rough, broken sounds in a language he had never heard. Her voice was weak, like she had been hurt or exhausted. Evan noticed a small cut on her arm leaking silver blue blood. The sight startled him, but he forced himself not to react strongly. She was clearly injured, and she needed help. "Wait here," he said gently, though he knew she probably didn't understand his words. He pointed to the ground, then pointed to himself, then mimed running and returning. The alien girl watched his movements carefully. After a moment, she gave a shaky nod. Evan turned and ran to a stream nearby where clean water flowed. He dipped his handkerchief into it and hurried back. The girl watched nervously but did not resist when he gently cleaned the cut on her arm. She winced a little, but her breathing slowly calmed. When he finished, she looked at him with wide eyes, filled with surprise and confusion. She raised a trembling hand and touched her forehead lightly. Then she reached out and touched his forehead with the same care. Evan felt warmth where her fingers brushed. He did not understand the meaning of the gesture, but it felt peaceful, almost like a thank you. He smiled. "I'm Evan," he said, pointing to himself. "Ivan." She blinked and repeated, softly, "Ann." Her voice sounded clearer this time. Though still weak, he nodded happily. Then he pointed to her. She hesitated. Her voice was shaky. But she spoke one word. "Lyra." Evan tried repeating it. "Lyra?" She nodded. The forest around them grew quiet again. But Evan knew he couldn't stay there long. People from the colony would soon investigate the crash, and he feared what they might do if they found her first. Adults often acted out of fear when meeting anything unknown. Evan knew they might take Lyra away, treat her like a specimen, or worse. He could not let that happen. His mind raced. There was an old shed behind his family's home, rarely used and mostly forgotten. It could keep her hidden until he figured out what to do. He touched Lyra's hand gently to get her attention and pointed toward the direction of his home. "Come with me," he said slowly. "Safe." Lyra looked uncertain. She glanced back at the pod, then at Evan. Her eyes softened, and she nodded. Evan helped her stand. She was light, yet a little unsteady on her feet. Together, they moved quietly through the forest, avoiding open paths. Every sound made Lyra jump, and she clung to Evan's sleeve. He did his best to reassure her with calm gestures and soft words. When they reached the edge of the fields, Evan waited until no one was around. Then he guided her carefully behind the house and into the small, dusty shed. It was cluttered with old tools, crates, and pieces of broken equipment. Sunlight leaked through small cracks in the walls, giving the space a warm, safe feeling. Lyra looked around nervously but did not protest. "You can stay here for now," Evan said. He realized she probably didn't understand the words, so he pointed at the floor, then made a resting gesture. She nodded slowly. Evan brought her some bread, fruit, and a blanket from inside the house. When he returned, Lyra's eyes widened with gratitude. She ate slowly, watching him as if trying to understand everything about him. Day by day, they started to communicate better. Evan drew pictures on old pieces of cardboard, stars, planets, simple shapes. Lyra responded by drawing symbols from her own language. She taught him the word for light, friend, and safe. Evan taught her simple human words in return. Sometimes she laughed quietly when she understood something new, a soft musical sound that made Evan smile every time. He learned that Lyra wasn't just some lost traveler. She was running from danger. She didn't explain much. Her speech was still limited, but she pointed at the sky, then made a gesture like an explosion. Evan understood enough to feel worry. Someone had attacked her, and she had escaped alone. He began checking the skies every night, wondering if her people were searching for her, or if the ones who attacked her might appear first. About a week later, everything changed again. The morning started quietly until a strange hum vibrated through the air. Evan rushed outside and looked up. A large alien ship hovered above the forest where he had found the pod. It was silver-white, shaped like a crescent, and unlike anything humans had ever built. Search parties, Evan thought. They finally came for her. He ran to the shed and found Lyra already standing, trembling but determined. She looked at him with a heavy expression. She knew she had to go. Evan didn't want to lose his new friend, but he also knew she belonged with her own people. He helped her walk toward the landing area. A ramp extended from the alien ship, and tall figures waited silently. At the bottom of the ramp, Lyra stopped. She turned to Evan. Her eyes were misty, glowing softly. Slowly, she leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. This time Evan understood it was a gesture of deep thanks and trust. He felt a warm, emotional weight in his chest as she whispered his name one last time. Evan. Then she stepped back and walked toward her people, leaving him standing there, watching the ship rise into the sky. He didn't know if he would ever see her again, but he hoped, quietly, that someday she would return. Evan walked home slowly, feeling both sad and proud. He had helped someone who needed him. He had protected her when no one else could. And far above, Lyra sat inside the ship, holding a small fruit Evan had given her days earlier. She pressed it gently, thinking of him, and made a silent promise to the stars. One day, she would come back. Many years passed after the day Lyra left the human colony. Evan Hale often stood at the edge of the forest, staring at the sky where her ship had disappeared. At first he expected her to return quickly, maybe within months, but time moved forward, and the memory of the alien girl slowly turned into something soft and hidden inside his heart. He grew older, learned new skills, and tried to focus on life around him. But every once in a while he thought of the girl with silver patterns on her skin. He never told anyone about her. The world would not believe him anyway, and part of him wanted to keep the story safe, like a secret treasure. Evan eventually left the small colony to study engineering at a frontier academy. He had always enjoyed solving problems and fixing machines, and his teachers noticed that he had a special talent for creativity. He had a good mind, calm hands, and the ability to understand how machines behaved as if they were alive. People predicted he would do something important in the future, but even as he grew, changed, and stepped into a wider world, he never forgot the gentle way Lyra had trusted him. Sometimes at night he wondered where she was now. Was she safe? Did she ever think of him? He had no idea that far across the galaxy, Lyra remembered him every single day. Lyra's return to her people had not been peaceful. She was taken to a secure medical center and questioned by elders and leaders. When they learned where she had been found, they reacted with tension. The Arakel Empire had always viewed humans with suspicion. They believed humanity was unpredictable and dangerous, capable of expanding too fast. But Lyra told them about Evan. She explained how he had saved her life, cared for her wounds, given her food, and protected her without knowing who she was. The elders listened but did not fully trust her story. They insisted she focus on her responsibilities instead of a human boy. Only later did the council discover the truth about Lyra's identity. She was not just any child. She was the hidden heir to the Arakel throne. Her existence had been kept secret from rival factions since the day she was born. They sent her on a quiet relocation mission when an attack damaged their original plans. That mission failed, and her escape pod had accidentally crossed human space. When Lyra recovered, she was taken to the capital world of Arakel Prime. There she started her training as a future queen. Her days were filled with lessons about diplomacy, strategy, and culture. She learned about history, battle decisions, and the traditions of her people. She trained in communication, negotiation, and leadership. Many admired her calm strength, but some questioned her gentle nature. They believed rulers should be strict and feared, not kind and curious. Yet Lyra continued growing into someone different from any leader her people had seen before. She remembered how Evan treated her with simple humanity, with honesty, with care. That memory shaped her choices again and again. Sometimes, when lessons ended and she walked alone in the palace gardens, she whispered his name softly. Evan. It grounded her, reminded her that compassion was not weakness. It was courage. As years went by, tensions across the Arakel Empire increased. A powerful rival faction rose and argued that humans could not be trusted. They pushed for aggressive policies, warning that humans might one day expand too close to Arakel territory. Fear spread quickly, carried by old stories and rumors. Some leaders wanted to strike first. Lyra listened in silence during each meeting, her heart sinking. She knew humans were not perfect, but she also knew they were not the monsters described by the council. She had lived with one for days. He had risked everything to protect her, but she could not prove it with facts, only with memories. She needed more than that. The day finally came when she stood before the full council after officially becoming the Queen of Arakel. Her ceremony was grand, filled with shimmering lights, ancient songs, and symbols of responsibility. She looked powerful and graceful, but inside, she felt a heavy weight. She knew that as queen, every decision she made would shape the future of her people. When she addressed the council, she spoke with calm strength. She declared that peace was possible with humanity, and she refused to support war. The council reacted with shock. Some elders argued that she was too young and too trusting. Others whispered that she had been influenced by her time away. A few secretly believed the rumors that a human boy had helped her, but they did not admit it aloud. Still, Lyra stood firm. Her voice never wavered. One elder finally asked her, "What gives you such faith in a species we barely understand?" Lyra wanted to say Evan's name. She wanted to tell them about the drawings they made, the food he shared, the kindness he showed without expecting anything. But she remained silent. If she told them everything, they might use his identity in the wrong way. They might think humans were manipulating her. Instead, she simply said, "I have seen humanity with my own eyes." Her answer did not satisfy everyone, but it was enough to delay any aggressive decisions. The council demanded proof of humanity's peaceful intentions. Lyra knew she could not stay silent or wait for fate to decide. She went to the star charts, searched through old travel records, and found the coordinates of the human colony where she had been rescued long ago. That place still existed. She knew exactly where Evan would be if he was still alive. She made a decision that surprised every leader in the Empire. She announced her plan to personally travel to human space as a diplomatic representative. The journey was long, and it was considered dangerous for someone of her status. But Lyra insisted. She needed to understand humanity again, not through reports and rumors, but through direct experience. And secretly, she needed to find Evan. The council protested, but they could not stop their queen. Tradition gave her the right to visit other civilizations if she believed it was necessary. And Lyra believed it with all her heart. Preparations took weeks. A royal flagship was built for the journey. It was enormous, shaped like a silver crescent with soft, glowing engines. Thousands of trained personnel were assigned to protect her. A small group of trusted advisors accompanied her as well. They feared humans but respected Lyra's choices. Before leaving the capital, Lyra stood alone in her chamber, looking at a simple wooden fruit Evan had given her years ago. She had kept it all this time, sealed in a small energy container so it would not decay. It was a symbol of trust, of kindness, of connection between two young souls from different worlds. She touched it gently and whispered, "I'm coming back." The flagship traveled across stars, passing through light tunnels and deep space currents. Inside the ship, Lyra spent much of her time preparing for the meeting with the human government. But her heart kept drifting toward a smaller, personal hope. She kept imagining what Evan looked like now. Was he taller? Did he still have the same warm smile? Would he remember her? After several weeks, they finally reached the outer regions of human space. Human ships detected the massive alien vessel at once and sent urgent calls to command stations. Many feared a hostile arrival. Messages were exchanged rapidly. The Arakel flagship announced peaceful intentions, but human stations remained cautious. It was the first time an Arakel royal ship had ever approached a human world. Diplomats were rushed into position. Defense fleets were placed on alert. Every moment felt uncertain. But instead of heading toward a major government world, Lyra gave an unexpected order. She told her pilots to travel to a small colony, a quiet farming world, near the edge. Her advisors stared at her in confusion. "Why this place, Majesty?" one asked. Lyra simply said, "There is someone here I must meet." The flagship entered orbit over the colony, casting a long shadow over fields and forests. People looked up in fear and amazement. For the first time in history, a queen of an alien empire had arrived at a simple human settlement. Evan Hale, now a grown man working as an engineer on the same colony he once left, was shocked when he saw the huge silver ship in the sky. His tools fell from his hands as alarms echoed across the settlement. He stared upward, his heart pounding. Somewhere deep inside, something familiar stirred. He didn't know why, but he felt that this moment was connected to his past. He had no idea that on that enormous ship, a queen stood quietly at a window, looking down at the place where her life had changed. She whispered to herself, "Evan, I am finally here." The entire colony shook with confusion and fear as the enormous alien flagship remained in the sky. People gathered in the fields, pointing upward, whispering urgently. Messages spread through every home, every screen, every communication device. Some told their families to stay indoors. Others ran toward the command center to understand what was happening. No one had ever seen a ship of such size and beauty in human space. Evan Hale stood on a metal platform outside the engineering station, staring at the ship with the same wide-eyed wonder he had felt as a child. The silver crescent shape, the soft glowing lines, the way the engines hummed in a smooth rhythm, it all felt strangely familiar. He remembered the escape pod he found years ago. Though this ship was much larger and more majestic, he recognized the same design style, the same living curves of Arakel technology. A memory of soft violet eyes returned to him. He tried to push it away, telling himself it could not be possible. After so many years, why would someone like her come back? She had become part of an alien empire. He was just an engineer on a small colony, yet his heart would not stay calm. Inside the Arakel flagship, Queen Lyra stood quietly in the observation room, surrounded by advisors who watched the planet below with tense expressions. Lyra's eyes were fixed on the fields where she knew Evan lived. Her advisors spoke rapidly in their own language, debating how to approach humans safely. One advisor said they should communicate only with human leaders. Another said they should stay in orbit and wait for humans to invite them. A third advisor worried that humans might panic and attack the ship. Lyra listened without speaking. Her thoughts were elsewhere. She was searching the land below, hoping to catch even the smallest glimpse of the boy who once saved her life. A communication officer approached her with a respectful bow. "Majesty, human authorities are sending repeated messages. They ask for your purpose. They want to know why a royal flagship has entered their space." "Should we answer?" Lyra nodded gently. "Tell them I come in peace. Tell them I come for diplomacy." The officer paused, unsure if diplomacy was the full reason. But Lyra added softly, "And tell them I request to meet a human named Evan Hale." Everyone in the room froze. It was unimaginable for a queen to request a meeting with a single unknown human from a small colony. Advisors exchanged worried glances. Some lowered their heads in confusion. One finally spoke. "Majesty, asking for one human by name may cause misunderstanding. Humans may think he is special to you." "And," Lyra looked at him calmly, "he is special." No one had the courage to argue further. The message was sent. On the colony below, the communication center erupted with noise when the alien transmission arrived. Officers and diplomats listened with disbelief. A queen from the Arakel Empire was asking for Evan Hale. Teams rushed to find him. Alarms sounded through the colony. A small transport vehicle stopped right in front of the engineering station. Soldiers stepped out and hurried toward him. "Evan Hale?" one asked sharply. Evan blinked. "You are requested immediately at the command hub." "Requested? By who?" The soldier looked uneasy, as if struggling to say the words. "By the alien queen." Evan felt the world tilt slightly beneath him. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. Thousands of questions spun inside his mind. What did she want? Why him? How did she even remember his name? He followed the soldiers silently. People watched from windows and doorways, whispering his name as he passed. Being called by a queen from another species was something no one could understand. At the command hub, human diplomats, officers, and scientists stood tense and nervous. When Evan walked in, they stared at him like he was suddenly the most important person in the colony. A diplomat stepped forward. "Evan, the alien queen has asked for you specifically. We need to know if you have ever had contact with her people." Evan hesitated. Part of him wanted to stay quiet, but he understood that this moment was too important. He took a deep breath and said, "When I was a kid, I found an alien escape pod in the forest, and there was a girl inside. She was injured. I helped her. Her name was Lyra." The room fell silent. A general slowly exhaled. A diplomat's eyes widened. A scientist dropped his pen. Everyone stared as if the entire galaxy had suddenly drawn a straight line between the past and the present. "So, the queen is that girl?" someone whispered. Evan nodded slowly. It felt unreal even to him. A few minutes later, humans sent a reply. They would allow Evan to meet Queen Lyra aboard her ship. But they warned him to be cautious. They warned him that this meeting might decide the future relationship between humans and the Arakel Empire. Evan felt fear rise inside him, but he also felt a strange calmness. If Lyra remembered him, then maybe everything would be okay. Maybe better than okay. A small shuttle arrived from the flagship to pick him up. It landed gently in the colony square while everyone watched. Evan stepped inside, his heart thumping. The doors closed, and the shuttle rose smoothly into the sky toward the enormous ship waiting above. As the shuttle approached the flagship, Evan saw its detailed structure, curved armor plates, shimmering energy lights, long windows, and graceful designs that looked more like artwork than metal. It was beautiful in a way human engineering never achieved. The shuttle docked, and the doors opened with a soft hiss. Arakel guards stood in a line, tall and elegant in silver uniforms. Their eyes glowed softly, watching him with both caution and curiosity. One of them stepped forward. "Evan Hale," she said in calm English. "Her Majesty awaits you." They led him through shining hallways filled with soft light. The ship felt quiet, not cold, but peaceful. Strange symbols decorated the walls. Evan walked with steady breaths, trying to stay calm. Finally, they reached a large room with tall windows overlooking the stars. The guards stepped aside. Queen Lyra stood in the center. She was older than the girl he remembered, tall and graceful, wearing a shining royal suit with flowing patterns. The silver lines on her skin glowed softly. Her hair fell like pale light around her shoulders. She looked powerful, calm, and confident. But her eyes, those familiar violet blue eyes, were exactly the same. When she saw him, her expression softened instantly. She took a small step forward. Evan felt his voice caught in his throat. For a moment, the entire room felt silent, as if the universe was holding its breath. Lyra spoke first, her voice gentle. Evan, hearing his name and her voice again after so many years, made his chest tighten. "Lyra, I can't believe it's really you." She walked closer until they stood only a few feet apart. "I never forgot," she said quietly. "You saved me when I was lost. You cared for me. You protected me. I promised myself I would return one day." Evan didn't know how to respond. He felt overwhelmed, amazed, unsure, and touched all at once. Lyra looked at him with deep sincerity. "I became queen, Evan, but I could not forget my first friend." Her advisors watched from a distance, surprised by the softness in her voice. Evan finally spoke. "Why? Why did you come back for me?" She took a breath, choosing her words carefully. "Because my people fear humans. They think humans will bring danger. But I know the truth. I know what a human can be. I learned that because of you." She paused, then added, "And I need your help." Evan blinked. "Help? Me?" "Yes," she said warmly. "You understand humanity in a way my people do not. And you understand my people in a way humans do not. You can help bridge our two worlds." Evan felt a sudden weight, but also a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Before he could reply, an alarm echoed through the hallway. The advisors ran forward and whispered to Lyra. She turned sharply, eyes narrowing. Something was wrong. Evan felt tension rising in the air. Lyra looked at him with a mixture of concern and determination. "There is a threat inside this ship. Someone wants to stop peace. And they may try to harm you." Evan's heart skipped. "Why me?" She stepped protectively in front of him. "Because you matter. And because peace between our species depends on you staying safe." Her voice was firm now, filled with the strength of a queen. Evan realized something at that moment. Lyra wasn't just the girl he once protected. She was now someone powerful who was ready to protect him in return. A sudden explosion shook the floor. Lyra grabbed his arm gently. "Stay with me. I will not let anything happen to you." And for the first time in his life, Evan found himself standing beside a queen in the middle of a growing storm. The great hall of the Zillyrian capital shined with soft silver lights as Lyra walked forward toward the throne. Her long cloak moved behind her like a calm wave, and her crystal blue eyes looked steady and brave. Hundreds of Zillyrians stood on both sides of the hall. Some watched her with pride, others with doubt, and some with fear. No matter how they felt, they all knew this day was important. Their world was about to choose its queen. Alira kept walking with calm steps, but her heart beat fast. She remembered everything that had led to this moment. Her childhood on Earth, her bond with the human boy, his kindness that taught her strength, her return to her home world, the hard training, the political fights, and now, this, the end of one long journey and the start of a new one. But deep inside, one thing was clear. She was not walking toward the throne because she wanted power. She was walking because of a promise she made long ago to a human boy who showed her what courage truly meant. As she reached the center of the hall, 3 elder guardians lifted their staffs. A beam of soft white light rose between them, marking the ancient ritual. Alira stepped into the circle, and the light wrapped around her. The hall grew silent. Every eye focused on her. One elder guardian spoke in a slow, strong voice. Alira, daughter of the lost branch, carrier of the old bloodline, you stand at the final step. Do you accept the role of queen and the responsibility to protect the people, the stars, and the ancient law? Alira took a breath. I accept. The second guardian spoke. Do you promise to lead with strength but show mercy, to stand without fear, and to honor every life under your rule? I promise. The third guardian stepped forward. And do you swear that your heart shall remain true to your decisions, free from manipulation and corruption? Alira closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the human boy's face, the boy who saved her from fear when she first arrived on Earth. My heart will remain true. The light around her flared, bright but gentle. The guardians touched the circle with their staffs, and the energy slowly melted into her skin, glowing like tiny stars. When the light faded, the hall shook with voices. Alira stood taller than before, the symbol of the queen shimmering on her chest, the throne room filled with cheers, applause, and the soft chanting of her name. The sound echoed through the silver walls until the whole palace felt alive. Yet Alira did not smile. Becoming queen only meant one thing to her now. She had the authority to return to Earth without resistance. She could go back to the boy who changed her life. Many nobles approached her, congratulating her with wide smiles. Some of them bowed deeply, and some tried to hide the jealousy in their eyes. Even the strongest generals placed their hands on their hearts. Alira thanked everyone politely. But her mind stayed somewhere else. She kept thinking of Earth, of him, of the place where her heart had learned to feel safe. When the celebration finally ended, she walked to her private chamber. The large windows showed the twin moons rising outside, lighting the city with a soft glow. She stood in the middle of the room, still wearing her queen's insignia, but she did not feel heavy. Instead, she felt free. Her old mentor, Sorian, entered quietly. The older woman looked at Alira with a gentle smile. You did well today, my queen. Alira turned to her, her voice calm. Thank you. You raised me well. Sorian nodded. So, when will you tell them? Alira knew what she meant. She took a slow breath. Tomorrow. The council must know that I will leave for Earth. I will not stay here without completing my promise. Sorian stepped closer. And what if he does not remember you? Or, if he has changed? Alira's voice softened. Even if he has changed, I must see him. I must know. Sorian sighed, but she understood. Then I will not stop you. That night, Alira could not sleep. She walked out to the balcony and looked at the stars. Somewhere far beyond that sky, Earth waited. She imagined the boy now, a young man living a simple life, unaware that a queen from another world still remembered him. She whispered into the wind, You showed me kindness. You showed me courage. And I am coming back to choose you. Early the next morning, Alira gathered the council. The long table filled with nobles, commanders, scientists, and advisors. They all looked toward her, expecting orders or political plans. Instead, she gave them something else. I will return to Earth, she said plainly. Gasps filled the room. Some whispered to each other, shocked. Others sat frozen. One noble finally stood. "Your Majesty, Earth is a primitive world. You are queen now. You cannot leave your throne." A general added, "We have conflicts to manage, borders to secure. You must stabilize the kingdom first." Alira lifted her hand, and the room fell silent again. "I will return. And I will return, because Earth is not just a primitive world to me. It is the place where I learned who I am. It is the place where I want to choose my future." The council looked confused. Some shifted uncomfortably. Alira continued, "When I was a child, I lived on Earth for a short time. A boy there treated me with kindness when I had nothing. He protected me when I was scared. He gave me strength. My heart grew, because he cared." A noble frowned. "You speak of a human boy?" "Yes," Alira said firmly, "and he is the one I choose." The room erupted in shock again. The idea of their queen choosing a human felt impossible to them, even unbelievable. But Alira did not care about their reactions. She had made her decision. The general stepped forward with a stern expression. "Your Majesty, we respect your feelings. But choosing a human," Alira cut him off. "I am the queen, and I choose based on my heart, not politics." The silence that followed was heavy but final. No one argued again. They understood she would not change her mind. Her decision was her path. After the meeting, Alira returned to the launch bay. Engineers had already prepared a sleek travel vessel, small, fast, and shaped like a silver arrow. It was designed for deep space journeys. She approached the ship slowly, feeling excitement rise in her chest. Sarayan stood beside her. "So this is it?" "Yes," Alira whispered. "This is it. Do you want anyone to accompany you?" "No," Alira said softly. "I must face him alone. He deserves that." Sarayan smiled sadly. "Then, may the stars guide your heart." Alira touched her mentor's hand. "Thank you. For everything." She stepped inside the ship, the doors closing behind her. The engines glowed bright blue. The launch bay opened. The ship rose slowly, then shot into the sky like a streak of light. Alira looked through the window, watching her homeworld grow smaller. "I am coming," she whispered again. Days passed in silent travel through space. Alira spent her time looking at old memories, practicing the human language she once knew, and thinking about what she would say when she saw him again. Would he recognize her? Would he believe who she had become? Would he still see her as the girl he once helped? When the blue and green sphere of Earth finally came into view, Alira's eyes softened. The planet looked exactly as she remembered, beautiful, gentle, full of life. Her heart tightened with emotion. The ship entered the atmosphere. Clouds rolled past the windows. The oceans glimmered under the sun. The forests stretched in deep green lines. And soon, the town appeared. The same town, the same roads, the same forest where she had first met him. Alira landed the ship in a quiet clearing, hidden by trees. She stepped out slowly, breathing Earth's air again after so many years. It felt warm, familiar, and peaceful. Her feet touched the soil, and she felt a strange but comforting sensation. She began walking toward the town. Every step felt like a memory returning. She saw children playing, people walking, cars passing by. Everyone looked normal, unaware of the queen walking among them in simple clothing. She reached the street she remembered best. And there, standing outside a small workshop, was him, the boy, now a grown young man. He was taller now, stronger, older. But the shape of his eyes and the calm kindness in them remained the same. He was fixing something, lost in his work, unaware that someone from another world stood watching him with a heartbeat full of hope. Alira took a slow step forward. He looked up, their eyes met. For one moment, the world fell silent. He stared at her, confused at first, then surprised, then something familiar reflected in his eyes. A memory he had buried long ago began to surface. Alira felt her heart race. She whispered softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "I told you, I would come back." He dropped the tool in his hand, staring in disbelief. "Alira?" She smiled. a real, warm, gentle smile. Yes, and now that I am queen, I have come to choose you. And the story of their worlds began again, stronger than ever, under the simple blue sky of Earth.